Boing, boing. Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Some Tech. Today's episode, just like we promised last time, we're going to be talking about layers and layer organization. There's a lot that you can do with layers, especially with the blending options and layer effects. But for now, I think I'm just going to talk about creating and organizing and managing layers, and then maybe in a further video we can talk about blending modes and stuff like that. Okay, so first things first, what is a layer? A layer is essentially how I like to see it is that they're panes of glass. When you make a layer itself, it doesn't have any substance to it. It's a see-through sheet of glass, I guess. That's why there's this checkerboard pattern in Photoshop. If you see right here, a checkerboard pattern represents transparency. If the background layer is by default white and I turn it, so here's the first thing. Clicking the eyeball just toggles the visibility of the layer. You can turn it on and off. Things that aren't visible when you save as a JPEG or a PDF or something will not show up in your image. So you can use it for like drafting, and then you can hide your old drafts or something like that. It's useful. So as you can see here, when I turn off the background layer, it's just this checkerboard pattern because the layer 1 right here, layer 1 has nothing on it, and it doesn't and since the background layer is now gone, it's just transparent. What else can you do with layers? Well, first of all, let's make layers, right? So you can either press Control-Shift-N to make a new layer, and what it'll do is it'll pop up this menu here, either that, or you can just click down here. This little page flipping button will make a new layer. By default, it'll turn into a layer 2. If you want, I'm just scribble on this layer. If you drag your layer onto the new layer thing, it will duplicate the layer. If another way to duplicate a layer is to right click the layer right here and click duplicate layer. You can delete layer, and you can do a lot of neat stuff with that. There's merging. So say I make a second layer, layer 1 and layer 2, and on layer 2 I want to draw a red circle. And then I want them to actually be on the same layer now. I can merge down, and now they're on the same layer. If I separate them, what you can see is that I can move to layer 2 and I can overlap it, and anything in here will show through because it's transparent. I drew a red circle on a transparent sheet of glass, and I'm just sliding it around on top of this sheet of glass with a gray on it, So you're just stacking sheets of glass that you can draw stuff on. Something that's important, especially when you're working with photos, is something that one of my teachers in school actually dubbed the name non-destructive editing. I don't know if he dubbed the name, but that's where I got it from, which is essentially don't merge layers if you don't have a copy to work off of, just in case, So say I have this red and gray, and then I merge the layers. So right click, merge layer, merge down. So I'll just merge the layer I'm on to the one below it. Now they're stuck together, right? But say I want to actually erase some of the gray. If I use my eraser tool, it'll just erase part of the red too. And I'm screwed because I don't have the original 2 copies. So what I always suggest before you merge layers is to highlight both of them. So hold Shift and click. You can highlight more than one layer by holding Shift and clicking. And then duplicate layers. They'll come up like, they'll call layer 2 copy and layer 1 copy, and you can right click and merge layers. If you have more than one layer selected, when you right click, it won't do the merge down, it will just merge all the layers you have selected. And now I have this. And so just in case I wanted to, I don't want this anymore and I want to edit these separately, I have these layers available to me, right? But I want to work off the merged one now. I can just hide these two layers by clicking the eyeball, and now I just have this, and you don't see these two that are underneath. Which is it's useful. It's especially for photo editing, because if you end up accidentally trashing your old photo, your undo button can only go so far based on how much memory you've allocated to it. So you might not be able to go back to your original photo. So if you just keep a copy of that, you'll never not have square one to work from in case you screw up too far. So one thing that's also important is naming layers. So I've got all these layers now, and I don't know what they are necessarily, you know. So I've got like this, and I'll make another layer where it's like a square, and then I'll make another layer that's like a triangle, right? And then, oh, I did not make a new layer with that. Whoops. Okay, so here's the thing that I by accident will show you. Say you've got something on the same layer. So if I hide these two layers, you'll see that this square and triangle are both on layer 3. What you can do is you can use one of the selection tools, the marquee, the square marquee, or the lasso tool, and you can highlight it, right click, and click layer via cut or layer via copy. So if I do layer via copy, it will make a new layer with just whatever selected inside it, but it will be a copy. So on the old layer, the purple triangle will still be there. But if I do layer via cut, it will cut it out of this layer and then put it on its own layer. So I'm going to do that, and now the triangle is on its own layer as opposed to being on the same layer as the square. But say I've got all these layers and I'm messing with them and they're overlapped and stuff, and it's confusing to tell what's on what. You can look here, there's little thumbnails that you can kind of see what's on, like you can see a little bit of red here and a little bit of greenish and a little bit of purple. But what's easier is if you just label your layers as you go. If you work too far and you don't have names on your layers, it's going to be a little bit difficult, and you're going to spend a lot of time doing this, just flicking the layer on and off to see what it actually affects and see what it actually is. So it's always a good idea. Let's see, this first one, gray squiggle, gray squig, red circle, red circ. So what you can do, you can either right click, and I think in layer properties, yeah, you can just rename it, or you can just double click it, double click the name, and then square. I only have one square right now. If you double click the layer itself, it opens the layer style menu. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I'll talk about it later. For now, let's just talk about layer management. So just double click the name, triangle. So then this is useful, because then this way, if I want to work with, say I want one more triangle on this thing, I'm going to right click, duplicate layer, and this menu pops up. I can call it triangle copy. This is the default, and I'm going to do that. If you make a copy of a copy, it's going to go triangle copy 2. Like, it'll by default make unique names so that they don't overlap, but you can, if you really want, rename the same thing twice. But say I want a triangle of a different color, right? So I don't want this purple triangle anymore. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to fill in the purple triangle with a yellow triangle. So I'm going to put a smaller yellow triangle inside the purple triangle, and I'm going to fill it in, because I don't know, that's what I want right now. And I'm going to call this like Dorito. Kind of looks like a Dorito. So now I got my Dorito. But say I end up making a lot of layers, just like and I have a lot of layers to work with, and I'm just gonna keep mashing the new layer button, and I want to like get from one thing to the next and one thing to the next, but there's so many and it's hard to organize everything. You can group layers. So what you can do is I can highlight, let's say I want all these blank layers grouped together. So I'm going to highlight all these blank layers. So I just held shift, clicked one, and then I clicked all the way to the bottom. And then just like that. I'm gonna skip layer one actually, just to show you something later. So I'm gonna hold shift and then click the top one, and it just highlights everything in between. Right click. I'm gonna click. Where is it? Maybe it's not an option here. I do know if you press Control G for group, it will group all the layers. But what else you can do is you can just click the folder button here, and then it will make an empty group that has nothing in it. Which by clicking this triangle, if the triangle is pointing down, it's open. If the triangle is pointing towards the folder, it's closed. So I'm just going to do the shortcut for now. So that's Control G or Command G. It'll group all your layers into a group, and I'm just going to rename this group. You can rename it just like you rename layers, blank layers. I don't know why I did it all caps, but now if I click the little triangle, it opens up and I can see all the layers that are inside it. Now, as you can see here, this layer 1 is not in there, but say I want it in there, I just highlight, click it, drag into the folder, and now it's in there. It's right there, layer 1. And now I can just click this, hide it, and now look how clean it is. There's so much less stuff around. And groups, you can move them like as opposed to just, I guess they move like a layer, but they're just a bunch of layers together that move as a single layer, but you can also interact with them individually. Let me show you. So I'm going to group these, the Dorito and the triangle. I can click either the new group button and drag them in. They like indent when they go in, so you can tell that they've gone in. Or I can do my shortcut, because shortcuts just makes everything faster. Highlight, Control G or Command G, triangle, and then this way my triangle layers are actually still individual, and I can edit them individually if I'd like. But also, if I highlight the group instead of the layers, I can drag the whole group around, I can drag just the Dorito around, I can drag just a triangle around, and then still just drag the whole group around if I like. So that's super useful. Like layer groups just makes everything a lot more organized. You can have, what I like to do when I'm doing drawings is I have my line art on one layer, and sometimes I do that in multiple groups because I want to draw stuff forwards and like backwards, if that makes any sense. So like, or just individually. So say I draw, or I'll get a darker color so you can see. Say I draw a head or something here, right? But I want to put eyes on it. If I put eyes on it here, and then I want to like move the eyes around, the whole thing moves as a layer, right? But what I can do is I can just make a new layer. So I'll call this head, eyes, and then on the eyes layer, I'm going to draw my little eyes. And then now I can move my eyes around wherever I want. It doesn't affect the head layer. If I want to erase, it won't even touch the head layer. As you can see, the eraser is going over the head layer, but because I'm on the eyes layer, it won't affect it. And that's useful because if I want to put coloring inside, if I color inside the head layer, let's make the head like a light pink. That's not light pink. Oh, it's because I won't see them like it. And then I keep coloring over the line. So unless if I want to like color really close to the line and make sure I don't go over it, there's an easier way in which I just make a new layer. And here's something neat. I can just color, right? And say like, oh, well, it's still going over, right? I don't want it to go over the line, but that's because the layer is above it. So if I just put this layer underneath the head layer, now it won't, see how it's like going, not, it doesn't cover it over the eyes, because the eyes layer is above this layer 31, which is where my color is right now. And in this way, I can just easily color in this entire head. As you can see, it like peeks out on the side, but that's because it doesn't go underneath. I'm just gonna do this, fill this all in, perfect. So say I don't want this layer anymore, that's fine. I can hide it to see what it looks like without it. I can drag it around. I can do anything to it. So I'm gonna group these, call it face. I'm gonna rename this one to color maybe. And then we can drag this whole thing around. And it doesn't affect anything. It's its own individual thing, but also if I want to, I can interact with everything individually. What else is there? Locking layers. If you want, you can put this icon up here. Clicking this, what it does is it locks the layer so that you cannot edit it. You see I try to edit it with the brush tool. There's a little no sign, and well, I don't know if you guys can see the no sign actually if it shows up, but there'll be a sign that shows up that looks like this. What it means is that it won't let you edit a layer, and that's good because if you have something that you want to lock in and you don't want to accidentally edit it, just put the lock on it and then you'll never accidentally touch it again. What else can we do? We can do opacity. Okay, so layer opacity right here is basically how see-through the layer is. So let's go back to our triangle. So say I want the green square and the gray squiggle and the red circle to show through this triangle, the Dorito. I can take the Dorito and I can lower the opacity. And so you can see it's still kind of there, but now you can see through it. And so now I can do stuff like take my triangle layer and put it, oh, it's behind. But if I put it in front of the face layer, now you can see that see-through triangle, and I can change how see-through it is. It's nice, it's good. And then if I don't like anything, I can always just delete it. You can delete grouping contents. You can just delete singular layers in the group by clicking this trash can button while you have them highlighted. And that's about it. I'd say that's about the basics of layer management. Group, so let's see, what do we have here? New layers, click this page thingy, grouping your layers, Control G. You can slide your layers around individually, make sure you name your layers, make sure you name your groups. Grouping your layers makes it easier to organize because you know where everything is, and if you want, you can hide it. I can make a new layer here, or a new group, call it shapes. And now look how clean this is. Now I can just dip into wherever I want, and it doesn't make such a long list that I have to scroll through every time to try to find what I need, because I know where it is. I can just go through subgroups. Oh yeah, you can make subgroups. So if I want, I can make a big group that's like, I don't know, objects, and I can drag these groups into that group, and now they're all inside here, and you can hide the whole groups as a whole. And now if I want, I say, what do I want? Well, I want objects. I'm going to objects. Well, do I want to edit the face or do I want to edit the shapes? I want to edit the shapes. You know, it's a nice little way to organize everything, just clicking these little triangles. I think I'm going to leave it here for now. So we're around 20 minutes right now, so I'm just going to leave it. Next time we're going to talk about maybe layer effects and blending modes. I don't, we'll see. Actually, you know what? Next time I'm going to talk about working for print, because that's important. Editing your photos or whatever for print or business cards. Until next time, thank you for watching. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. And that's it for now. Bye.